All right, let's swim through some garbage. And like we just said, we're gonna let you
It's all
take it away
garbage.
on this one. There's gonna be not much to say, but obvious things to say. But yeah, why don't you educate us on what you think this is?
Well, here we go. I mean, I've done this, I feel like, a couple weeks in a row, so we might as well make it a goddamn feature. But we went down the rabbit hole of Trump's True Social feed. Actually, in this case, I think
Oh
this was
yeah.
I think he popped into Twitter to say this. I don't even think this is True Social.
Yeah, I found it on
Actually,
X. Obviously, I don't have an
yeah.
account, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
But anyways, so he tweeted something along the lines of, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." Which, wow,
No, it's objectively
a lot of baggage to that sentence.
like anti-constitution, like
It
objectively
that is,
anti-constitution.
yeah, that is monarchy talk, is what that is. It is just shitting on any sort of checks or balance.
Yep, like it doesn't
This,
matter.
you know what? The notion that underpins this sentence right here is just the notion that, like, there is no institution in the country that you can trust. He is going to have to violate all the laws because everything's broken, and he's the one that can save us.
I alone can save us. Yeah, all right, I guess
Yeah.
we'll find out. We know he
Yeah.
won't, but I guess we'll find out.
Well, my thing here is, I just it upsets me. Like, if Joe Biden tweeted this, right? And I don't even
But the double
particularly.
standard has been there for so long. But go ahead. Go ahead.
But I guess I really want to emphasize the point that it doesn't matter who is saying this sentiment.
No,
It
it's
should be
horrible.
unacceptable from whoever it is.
It's hot
I don't care
garbage,
if it
no
is Mother Teresa and she's president somehow and she tweets that. No, that's still fucking problematic because I don't trust anybody, any one person with the discretion of acting above the law. I just don't. Certainly not Donald
No.
Trump. Anybody at all. So this should piss off anybody, I think.
Just our
So
basic
that's wild.
understanding of checks and balances, even on society. Like he doesn't want any oversight on him, which is never a good scenario in like any situation, like public at least, public related, like when you're the president or you know what I'm saying. So, I look, my only thought was like, bro, until we've said this before, we'll keep doing these and we'll have a grand old time doing them. And I'm gonna
Sure.
keep saying it, like until material negative effects are felt, nothing matters. Dude, even the statement doesn't matter. Like, who's gonna what is this actually gonna do to change any goddamn thing? It's not going to. He's going to be able to kind of do what he wants. He says shit like this, and then he could have more aggressive executive orders than he's done if he truly believes this shit that he tweets. Some of it's performative because this motherfucker
Yeah, but
knows
it's
how
not
to do that.
even.
But
Yeah.
like, until it's felt, nothing matters, bro. Nothing
Sure.
matters. This is horrible.
Sure.
This should be impeachment qualifying for like any fucking president. But it's
It's
not
a
gonna
wild
be.
statement to make.
But it's not gonna
Sure.
be, and nothing's gonna matter until people are actually like materially affected in a pretty large way, which is sad.
But there's
Hope
just
they keep my
such a
job.
large. There's such a crazy amount of cynicism that underpins a statement like this. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things
Like
where
from Donald Trump, he has cynicism. What do you mean by that?
anybody that sort of agrees with the sentiment, because
Oh,
they're
anybody
just
that agrees
of,
with it is a scumbag. Oh, no doubt. Go ahead.
well, they just think the institutions are a lost cause, right?
Yeah,
like
they just think nothing
if it's-
matters. They just think nothing like nothing matters. Okay, nothing matters. Because if the law
I think
doesn't matter, then nothing matters. So.
But I think
Tough.
they think that if you give Trump the power to undermine the law, he could bring us back into a space where the law isn't like that anymore. You know what I mean? It feels like they justify it because he's fixing the system.
But the problem is they don't use
Break
more
the system
than
because
3
he's
brain
fixing it.
cells dancing in coordination to think through the fact that Trump will also have the power to do whatever he wants, including bad things. Like, for some reason, they always talk about, well, he has to break the law to bring us back to prosperity. It's like, okay, when we're at prosperity and we all hold hands, Trump still gets to do whatever the fuck he wants? What do you think he's going to do? He's going to steal a bunch of money, homie. That's what the man does. So that's
also
where
not
it's
gonna
really
give you-
frustrating, because you dance with 2 brain cells to be like, well, I can rub these together and say that it'll make it better. But then, like, you don't think about the greater, like, implications and consequences of that. You just think in your one linear track, and we're all headed towards hell.
Well, yeah. I think it's bad. It's bad any way you slice it. But I think the people that are part of Trump's sort of executive power are problematic. But it all ultimately does run through Trump, and I don't think he's as bad. And I think he's selfish. I don't think he's malicious.
You don't think he's selfish, but go ahead.
He's for sure selfish. I don't think he's fully malicious. I think he's malicious to people who have bruised his ego. But the point being that even if you give somebody like this the sort of blank check that you want to, whoever supports this sentiment, means that any president can flex that muscle, and you don't have shit to say about it.
No, it doesn't, because if he can just violate the law, then he's going to say, "Oh, I'm president till I'm dead," because nothing matters. Okay, so he can just be like, "Oh, I'm president till I'm dead."
The next. Apply this to any president. It's fucking problematic.
I know where you're coming from with it.
President Bernie Sanders, and he tweeted that out. Could you imagine the fucking outrage? And rightfully so, because we don't.
You're right.
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
You're
right. That's
just
crazy.
Don't give a shit, dude. They don't give a shit. They don't have integrity. These people we're talking about, they don't. They don't care.
Well, they're just fine. You know what it is they're fine with. They're fine with breaking all these norms because it's their guy. But there's no understanding that if we all did this, if every president did this, it's a big fucking problem for all of us.
Because they don't have 3 brain cells that dance together. And I'm trying to think about why they do excuse their guy when they wouldn't, like the double standard. Like we all know the obvious reasons for double standard, but I can't really I don't know, man. Is it just they know that they know that they're acting with zero integrity and max hypocrisy and just not give a fuck? Or are they aware and they don't care because the ends justify? I don't fucking know.
Sure.
Man. I don't know, but it sucks. And again, on that path to hell, we continue on.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sure.
I don't think it's gonna be earth-shattering, regime-changing this presidency, but it's gonna be tough.
Setting these precedents are problematic
for sure. I would,
because somebody walks along and they go, "Oh, the executive power has 0 checks on it." And if
I were you, me, or anybody, I would keep my eye on elections, maybe starting towards the middle of this year. You've got to give the administration time to let things be recalibrated to their way. That's the biggest worry for me, for sure, because I think historical politics, even in the Trump era, shows that Trump's not on the ballot. 26 Republicans are in power. Democrats should do well and take the House. They should. And
sure,
but are there things, because again, look at the statement on the screen, and knowing that people are power hungry, are there things they can do that they're just going to hand wave and say these are legal, that are pretty crippling? Yo, I know exactly. That's going to be tough. That is what I'm saying, bro. That's going to be tough. Anyway,
that is a big fucking vulnerability for sure. And you have to hope the only thing that holds that accountable at that point is the courts.
Kills me, man. Kills me.
Yeah, that is tough, because that is genuinely it's just, you've lost your democracy at that point.
I think I sent you and I read
yeah,
we literally are at a point where people are in society like this, where I sent to you and I read some guy was like, "Oh, I feel betrayed by the administration because I'm losing my job." It's like, bro, you were a federal worker and they campaigned on cutting $3 trillion from the budget, and you didn't do the math in your head and say to yourself, maybe I'm on the chopping block. He'll get into power. It's now you're doing the whoa, hold on. I thought it was them, not me. It's tough. It's tough. This is who we're dealing with.
Wow. I mean, he didn't think the leopards were going to eat his face.
That is I guess that's what the kids say. I see that online, and I've Googled that to understand what that means. But yes, that's what it's not great.
I think that's based on an old short. Anyway, Yeah, I mean that does kind of bleed into our point too. To
Oh
be
yeah, let's
fair,
move on. Yeah. Not too much time on it.
um,
Oh, let
so
me.
this was an
I didn't find the actual. So the actual quote is something that you shared. Anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge.
Isaac Asimov, famous science fiction writer.
So I know
Sorry,
what
go
I
ahead.
know what my issues are with that statement, but why don't you shared it, sir? Good sir, good wise
Sure. I
fellow.
mean, this bleeds into what we were literally just talking about. I mean, that man. Why do you think that man voted for Donald Trump when he
Okay,
should have done
so
2 + 2 = I lose my job? Where do you think that failure is?
um, I that's such a great question. I think it's tricky, but I will still try to answer insofar as like, dude, we can't ignore the anti-government sentiment that just continues to feel like it's more and more as years go by, to the point where
Sure.
if you're pro-government in any way, you're like counterculture, which is wild as it's just like
Sure.
you're
Sure.
liberal, we're the counterculture. Um. So yeah. I forgot where I was going with that. Dang it.
Well, just sort of how does somebody get convinced to vote against their own best interests?
Oh, that's
does
the
this
biggest. That's the yeah, right. That's the biggest point I would say. It's like this anti-government sentiment is so strong that somehow it doesn't really answer your question, because all I'm gonna say is it's somehow people who could do simple math and realize that it might be threatening to their way of life still vote against their interest. There's a lot of reasons why, but what's the biggest reason you think? Hit me.
I think it's anti-intellectualism.
What does that mean, though? Can you define that for me?
Manifest-
Like, I know what it means.
Well,
Go ahead. Yeah.
so go to the Joe Rogan podcast with Terrence Howard on YouTube.
No, that's
That
horrible.
the comment section
That's
there
not anti-intellectualism. That guy is like
it is.
a
Absolutely
dumbass,
it is.
bro. No, that guy, Terrence Howard. He is literally a dumbass.
He is anti-intellectualist. He is somebody who knows all the right buzzwords to sprinkle through his sentences, but he's also counter sort of the popular paradigm or the mainstream paradigm, and somehow that gives him legitimacy because he sounds good, but he's also counter big science.
Yeah, I'll definitely give you some.
It's like the dumbest fucking marriage of rationality, because people give him way more credit than he deserves purely because he sounds smart and he's quote unquote outside mainstream science. It's fucking stupid.
Here's my key to people who are absolute frauds but sound smart. If they just say things that you can't actually make sense of, people are bullshitting you. Like things, even the most complicated things, a good public speaker, orator, I'm not really sure how to say it, will figure out how to like translate it for any audience, especially in like a simpler way. So if people are just like, it's just like the Jordan Peterson and the whatever guy on the Rogan show, you know what I'm saying? It's just people who just like, you're right. It's like they sound smart with like beautiful words and like just like kind of just talking on and on, but it's nothing. It's nothing. It's like, you know.
The second you go further than skin deep, there's nothing backing the words they're saying.
That's what I'm saying. And so if you do that to people, it makes me feel like you're trying to come from a place that is like non-provable, non-thought through on purpose. I'm not saying they do. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they're charlatans, but they also know that if they dress themselves up as somebody who's anti-mainstream, it gives them credit automatically.
That's so dumb.
That is the culture.
I want people to understand how stupid that is. I want people to understand, because that is because like you're not listening to people and fleshing things out and trying to make sense. It's like, and what's frustrating is like, the best, most knowledgeable people are so good at what they do. Again, they can, especially ones that are good at teaching and communicating, they can translate it dumbed down, right? And what's frustrating is people love these like complicated nonsense things, when like the answer is actually much simpler, and like if you're ready to listen to it, it's like right there, and it's like makes sense and it's provable again and again. But these people don't give a shit, bro. They just want to live in their made up worlds, jacking off to their fantasies. Like, oh,
I'm
telling you,
I've
Bigfoot, I went 32 times. It's like, okay, great. Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand the impulse of that knee-jerk reaction, because and a lot of it has gained popularity since COVID. There was something about COVID.
COVID broke brains.
And the governmental response to COVID that broke people's brains
RFK Jr.
about
is now the health
science.
Directly
Absolutely.
because of that. Anyways, go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Crazy.
don't know. And I don't know how you regain that trust, especially when you have people like, say, people who watch Terrence Howard videos and they feel like they've learned something.
But it's not about regaining
such...
trust. Like, scientific work is always being done. So it's like, if people don't actually want to understand the thing that is in the realm of evidence and provable over and over again, then like it's not a problem that like stuff isn't getting done. It's just like things aren't communicated correctly. Or as we always come back to, like internet and mass communication and social media are just breaking people's brains. It's just a bad answer, because like then you could follow up and say like, okay, but what about it is breaking brains is to the point where they totally reject reality. It's like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Like,
I do think that's one of the biggest pieces of it. Is I feel like
Sure.
2020 shoved a lot of people into isolation for long months, and they got plugged into certain just like algorithms that fed them what made them feel better about the moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like that shifted a lot of people. I mean, the fact that Trump won the popular vote is bananas.
I think a lot of people, and look, human beings, we get comfortable. They go through the motions in life, whether it be the same job you've done for a while and you get comfortable with it, and you just get used to like going through the motions in life. And I think people also do that with information they consume nowadays, because it's so easily tailorable to you. They don't think things through because they don't have to. They're just going through the motions.
Right.
You know,
if
you catch
right.
like a right-wing anger because of shit that you're seeing on TikTok, that's going to keep being fed to you every day.
Yeah.
And you're just going to go through the motions of just being like, they're killing the babies. And also like inevitable conclusion, like they could pass the most they could pass the most anti-abortion laws in the world. You're still going to see rage bait online and see people being like, they're killing the babies, because like they always need to rage against something. They're just going through the motions. They need their rage bait every day, you know? Just like everybody always says,
like,
depending on what side you're on.
Impulse?
It's like Democrat headquarters and Republican headquarters in the morning, they type out their talking points, they send it to everybody. I'm just...
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I just don't know how we fix that. It's really frustrating.
Let me lob this at you. Directly on the
Yeah.
quote now, going back to the quote. I don't know what tangent we
Sure.
went on, but it was excellent. But so you know my problem with this, brother. What the issue is, it's tension between, because of course anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through a political and cultural life. I agree. Nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. But it's always the key in the order and the words you use. This quote is like fine, but you're talking about that versus the human right to be able to vote. And you know how strongly I feel about that, no matter how dumb you are. Here it is. He's chuckling. Boys and girls, he's chuckling because he's heard this 100 times before. But yeah, like...
Well, I knew this would...
So let me get you on the record maybe with a question here. You can filibuster if you want, not answer. I don't give a shit. But I'm still going to ask it. How do you feel about the threat that anti-intellectualism does actually, that it actually is to democracy, versus, hey, like, should everyone have a right to vote because, like, maybe it should be a human right? Go.
Go.
Loaded.
All right, let me read this again. The constant thread wedding.
All right, while you do that, I want to say that, like...
Yeah, go ahead. Say your thing.
Anti-intellectualism being a threat to democracy, I think is true. I'm fine with agreeing with that statement. I
100% agree with that.
Yeah,
yes.
I just think that what we're doing, not with everything in life, but with a lot of things, is like you're thinking about competing things. And I just think that like the right to vote is too strong for me, dude. It's too strong. It's hard. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a couple things that sort of save this statement from being like just blatantly anti-democracy. Because it says nurtured by the false
It's tricky,
notion that
for sure.
democracy means my ignorance, which means like democracy doesn't have to mean that, but it can mean that. But I do think
Right.
at the end of this day, with this quote, and I think I sent you another one by Carl Sagan a few weeks ago. That was kind of
yeah.
along these same
That's right.
veins,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
which
I
is
don't
a
remember that.
phenomenal. But it's something
Yeah, I think
along
he was
along the
good.
lines
Yeah,
of it's not about removing people's capacity to vote. It's about just lifting up a better electorate, right? Like trying to do everything you can to encourage education. Do everything you can to design a curriculum that encourages critical thinking, that encourages, skepticism, particularly of people in power or in government, but having good faith beliefs. It's not about, because I don't even know how. Let's say we go by, what sort of arbitrary means of somebody being knowledgeable would we measure for them to be allowed to vote? Like that's just dumb. There's no way.
And that feels slippery as hell.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's what I'm saying. That doesn't make sense. So the real answer to this statement is we need to do better at educating people who vote rather than removing people from the voting pool. Like that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I think
we can meet
you're
in the
right.
middle
I
there,
just think
no?
that you saying we need to educate people better to
People
get
need
these
to be better.
results.
I'm sorry.
That's
We can't-
also a loaded thing to talk about. Like that's
No,
also
get the fuck out of it. If you're
no,
gonna
what
be,
I mean by loaded is how it, like if you actually got into the details. No, I agree with you. What I mean is if you actually got into the details, how would it be funded? Who's picking what to teach? How is this being taught going to get the results you're looking for? Just that kind of stuff.
start with an intact Board of Education, Federal Board of Education, and then you just work down from there.
What does that even mean, intact? Why did you say that so hard? And that's like, is there
Yeah.
something about that word that is it not intact right now?
They're trying to get rid of the Department of Education.
No,
you meant to be tongue in cheek about
the yes, the cabinet. That's
Trump and his administration is trying to get rid of the Department of Education. Yeah, but no.
Yeah,
So
it's-
I mean, the real answer to that is we can develop national standards that teach just very important things at a young age. We do it for plenty of things, right?
We already
like,
right. We do it for so many
attraction,
things. Yep.
Right. We can sprinkle in maybe ideas of media literacy or critical thinking. Like this is stuff you can teach to certainly 3rd to 5th
Sure,
graders.
I would just say like whenever we say critical thinking, that's such a like a it's like that's fine, but also like part of critical thinking is teaching basic English, basic arithmetic.
Sure.
That will go
make it all
and lead to a better critical thinker. Right. But no,
Sure.
I'm with you generally.
I'm just saying
And
at the end of the day.
and you're right. I don't think anyone who appreciates the freedom to vote wants to actually say, "Oh, we're going to take it away." No, it's just, going back to the quote, you can feel the truth from it. There's definitely some. So. But
Well,
we
I'm
don't
just saying
want
at the end of the
Jim Crow laws. Well, some of us kinda do,
Jesus.
but it's tough out there.
Don't say us. Some people do.
Some people.
You said
Sorry.
us.
Oh my God, this is
Very
not a football
damning.
team. No,
Good
don't. I
Lord.
did not join that football team. All right.
At the end of the day, I just want to emphasize that the last thing you want to do is take away people's right to vote. What you want to do is encourage just a more educated electorate. That's all. If you could do that in any way, shape, or form, or you can do anything that sort of tries to encourage that growth, fucking phenomenal. Because the better off your democracy is going to be.
Yep.
But
Work
that's all I'm saying.
on getting more buy-in to voting like earlier in life with, that should be another thing that it's like, hey,
What's that?
not
Actually
that it would
showing
make
up to
it
vote?
that many more younger people vote, but maybe it would. All right, anyways,
Actually, could I get your quick opinion on one thing? We don't have to expand, but I'm pretty sure Australia has compulsory voting. Like you have to vote or you get fined. How do you feel about that? Hello?
No, I'm thinking because it's tricky because it's like if it's a fine.
Okay.
I don't think I agree with it, right?
Sure.
I don't think I agree with it. I just
That's interesting.
because I'm such a libertarian communist is what I say. Anyways,
very
I
conflicting.
don't. I can explain it to you if you have 6.5 hours of time. uh, no, I don't think I agree with it. I do think that like the more buy-in you get from people voting, the more I think buy-in people feel connected to everything and more like accountable and responsible and in a good way.
Sure.
So I
sure.
don't think it's the worst thing if like you use certain levers to like get voting moving. I don't think it's fining people. I think it's just like automatic voter registration. You feel me? Like, yes,
sure.
yes, we're gonna track every person that
yeah.
like exists in the area that we're in. Like, we're not, you know what I'm saying, so that we can get them registered and voting.
Here we go.
Well, that sounded kind of ominous, but like we do not support deporting anyone. We support everyone coming to this country, everyone in the world actually, every single person.
Wait a minute.
Anyways,
what's happening? What
no,
just
but
happened?
in all seriousness, like, I think a bunch of blue states have done this in the last 10 years, where it's like automatic voter registration. I think usually when you go sign up for like a license or something, or whatever, like shit like that.
I think that's totally fucking
and there's other
great.
things like, you know, there's ranked choice voting that Alaska almost unwinded just now, but they kept it. Bless them. Maine has ranked choice voting. I do like ranked choice voting because it frees you up to vote for more smaller parties, but then also not F over and have the freaking you know, party that smells and really reeks like fascism take over just because I wanted to vote Greens and then I couldn't do, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, and other things like that.
They're expensive.
Shockingly, usually blue states implement these things. Mail-in voting, absentee voting.
Right, because they want the illegals to
do stuff
vote
like that.
0.
Do stuff like that. Because what shouldn't be partisan is the idea that, and it's hard for me to be serious, but I will try. What shouldn't be partisan is the idea that everyone should be able to vote. If they're like a part of their community in their area, like, you should have a vote. So that shouldn't be partisan. Bigots do make that partisan, but they're terrible, so we don't care. All right, let's do.
Yep, number 3.
This one's more. Just curious, what triggered you here? I can read a little trigger in the words, but go ahead. Yeah.
For sure. Because I hate Elon Musk as a human being.
It's hard to like him.
It sure is.
Yeah.
But I've noticed this, and I kind of attached the Bernie Sanders town hall below just to sort of emphasize the point that I was trying to make.
Oh, I thought that was a separate one. Okay, go ahead.
No, that's sort of related. It's kind of fucking all the same. But so Elon Musk tweets, tax reform is needed, too many loopholes, which just objectively is true.
But did you see the original tweet that he retweeted with that tweet, tax reform is needed, too many loopholes?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I didn't realize.
So keep going. No worries.
I mean, if you want to shed some light on it, that's totally cool.
No, just keep going.
Well, so I pulled this off of some subreddit, I'm just scrolling r/all like a fucking loser, and this came across.
Sure.
And like, there's just a very snarky response to what he said here. And again, like, but she only kind of proves his point. Right? She's like, Tesla paid $0 in federal income tax last year. And she lists off 2022, 21, 2019, 18, just $0 in Tesla taxes. And that's in response to Elon Musk's tweet. But, like, aren't you just proving his point? Right? Like,
yeah, so we're not bad faith. Hell no. We're love bugs in the ocean. So if I come at it in the way that you wrote this, from a good faith, like, of course you're right. If you look at things in a vacuum and you couldn't care less who said it, like, there are too many loopholes, tax reform is needed. But when the rubber meets the road, do I care about who is saying it and do I trust them to implement the concepts you're saying, Chad? No. Elon Musk is a right-wing figure. You're talking about left-wing change. There's no way that Elon Musk is going to try to, like, raise the taxes on himself. So, who cares about even the other tweet that I mentioned? I just don't. Do you trust Elon Musk to close loopholes and raise taxes on himself? I do not.
Well, he's certainly not in charge of the tax code.
No, he shouldn't be. Right? He shouldn't be in charge of anything. He's doing a lot of bullshit things, so that's true.
Congress is. Congress is going to pass their budget. They're going to pass their taxes, whatever. So, you know, he doesn't really have any control over what taxes.
He shouldn't have control, but we keep seeing the news about him doing things with Doji, and I'm seeing the results. People actually getting fired. Like, dude, just today it was like so sad. I was scrolling Reddit like a loser, just like Nord does. Two losers in a pod in the ocean, like
Sure.
Loopholes.
Love
But
it.
I'm scrolling and like there's a bunch of posts from like our ranger, but it's like Rangers of the Forest, and like a bunch got fired, and they wrote these like heart like wrenching like, oh, I worked there, like, dude, it was rough. I was like, damn,
Rangers.
bro. Park Rangers, yeah. A bunch of them got fired last week, I guess. Yeah. So it just sucks to read it. I'm like, damn, like.
Yeah,
That
I came across
sucks. Yeah.
I came across a science subreddit where people were talking about how a lot of people who were doing sort of research work for the government or under NIH grants just all got completely laid off.
Yeah.
And they got laid off in a way that sort of renders all their research useless. Like, it's not going to be handed over. It's
So
not going to be
dumb.
given to. It just gets fucking basically just thrown on a fire. Yeah, for sure it's
with
dumb.
the rotting food because they cut it right away and the food just rotted.
I did see that.
It's like,
yeah.
I was just, what was I listening to today? I don't even know. I think it was about the Department of Education, where someone like wrote a testimonial that was like, you just stopped research that had been like 20 years in the making. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
There's value you threw away just because. Like, you could have chosen to stop everything new, but you just took all this value and you were just like, yeah, we don't give a fuck. You know, it's like, wow,
Correct.
it's like true that stuff.
There's zero due diligence from everything they're doing with Doge. But that being aside, I understand that, like, okay, Elon Musk is a conservative. He's under the Trump admin. He's saying tax reform is needed, too many loopholes. Obviously, that's bad faith because they're not going to do a goddamn thing about it.
Right.
But the sentiment is correct.
Yes.
And
Again,
I sort of bring up the Bernie Sanders town hall with Fox News.
Oh, yeah. Why did you share that? I watched that again. So go ahead. Why did you share this thing?
Well, at the 4:48, I put the sort of a time tag in there. But at 4:48, they basically ask him a question along the lines of, well, if you're such a believer in higher taxes, why don't you willingly pay more taxes?
That's
right?
so
Like
dumb, though.
Correct, but
that
to me,
shit
this
is so
is the
tired
same
and old.
energy.
That's like the same conservative, like 80s talking points. That's like, you guys are so dumb. We haven't
But it's the same
graduated from
energy.
this. It's like Bernie is literally worth like, let's say like $4 million. We don't
Well, he had
like
just-
find me no communists don't exist. Find me a leftist in the country that's like, yeah, we don't believe anybody should even have 4 million. That's insane. Like, some wealth is fine. Nobody says wealth is bad. This is the shit that, you know, and I'm triggered. You see? Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Well, I completely agree with you. That's why I included it in this this fucking topic, because to me it's the same energy. But I agree, right? Like, I guess he had just sold a book, I guess in 2020 when he was running, or 2019 even, and he had made some money, and they were like, "Oh, your net worth is like $3 million. Shouldn't you be paying?" Like, it was just such a bad faith question, because
I do think that like the seasoned vet that Bernie is, he kind of hit the answer flat-footed. I was like, Bernie. He like hesitated a bit, and I was like,
he did
Bernie,
hesitate a little.
come on, baby, you know what to say. You know what to say. Anyways.
He did get taken a little off guard.
That's
with
all right.
that
He's still
question,
our boy.
yeah.
He's still our boy.
Which sucks too, because like there's the fucking, it's just, there's so much stupidity in that question, because like, okay, Bernie Sanders,
it's bad faith dressed up in the most like friendly way
so
possible, homie. Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, he does phenomenal in the rest of this town hall. Like, he killed it in this town hall. But yeah, he did.
I remember that when I started watching it again today, I was like, oh yeah, he's in front of a steel plant in like Bethlehem, PA, or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. No, he does a great job. Just people don't care, bro. People don't care. Everything. We're in the vibes era. And me and you have agreed many times that Biden won in 20 because COVID really made Trump show his ass. But
sure.
If it's just vibes, even 2020 Biden, I'm not going to say he would lose because, like, how disrespectful. The man actually beat Trump in a pretty historic way. But it would be so tough if it was just vibes.
It'd be much
you know
closer.
What I'm saying? Oh,
yeah. If it wasn't for COVID, I'm of the opinion that Joe probably loses that election.
We're not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. Listen, we're pro freedom here, so you can go wherever you want. But it's I hate the rights like alpha mentality. So I'm like, nope, Joe won. You eat on that. You fucking taste on that forever. That's true.
Sure.
But go ahead. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I mean, and this is probably a topic for the future, but I don't know who does damage more, a Trump with a second term, or if like him having, Biden win and then him come back for his second term is worse. And I'm starting to think it's that second one, which is unfortunate, because that's the situation we find ourselves in. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, regardless of that. Yeah.
When you're in, I was kind of bringing it up to say that when you're in a vibes era, like nothing will change once again until things are bad. Until then, I anything I read, everything I go through, I just act like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've literally read in the last couple weeks people getting laid off. And while getting laid off, like obviously you can find the ones of people upset, but I've even found people who voted for Trump that got laid off and they're like, that's fine, I get it. I'm just going to go find a job. It's like, oh my God. It's like, wow. All right, like that's, I mean, at least.
Ultimate cuckage. That's brutal.
Ultimate cuckage, but also like a little staying true there. A little like respect to staying true. But the respect to staying true is like
sure.
2 sprinkles inside of a mountain of like, you're a cuck. So you gotta,
You're an honorable cuck.
Crazy shit, man. So
it is pretty wild. I don't know if I've seen any of that, but that's crazy. I believe it. Yeah, but I do think things are going to get bad, though. I think in the next 12 to 18 months.
So let's end on that. What does that look like? What do you think will be the snapshot of like things looking bad? Because I kind of have one for sure.
Oh, sure. It's just cost of living shooting up another 30 to 50%.
That's part of it.
That's enough, I think, for the American voter.
It's going to be worse than when it was just prices shot up under the Biden reign. Even if they don't shoot up to as high as like 9%, like it was for like whatever, a month or whatever. When you have mass layoffs and like a dump of a workforce and people trying to find jobs and that gets slim, and you have rising prices, it's going to be 2 times worse.
Yeah. And you're pulling the reins back on social safety nets. Just multiply that even more.
So there's going to be real feel people being mad, which was the same thing when inflation was crazy under Biden. Like, we get it.
Right.
It's just the question's going to be, is it enough to tip the vibes at the top? Because, like, dude, the stock market is so dumb right now. Crypto's dumb. Like, there's a lot of overinflated value in things. And just because the regular common man loses their job or this or that happens, as you've seen under Biden with inflation, does not mean that, like, the bad times are hitting people that are wealthy. So,
yeah.
I mean, the shitty thing is, like, there's a lot of MAGA voters out there that, again, vote against their own interests because it's just like, oh, the vibes train might keep moving if the have-nots feel it, but the haves don't, and like the stock market stays inflated, you know? I don't know. We know jobs will be lost or are already being lost. We know that inflation, especially if tariffs do get implemented, even if they don't, the uncertainty, like inflation's going to get a little more worse, I think, even from now, a little more worse at least.
I'm pretty sure they're going to be.
And so we'll just have to see, like, what.
I think Trump's ego is too big to let him let go of the tariff issue, even though people are going to be around him telling him this is a really bad idea.
It doesn't even, I think you're right, and it doesn't even matter if he ever implements them, though, because the uncertainty around it. Like, you've seen, like, these pictures of stores in Canada that still have, like, oh, we left up the Buy Canadian even after they paused the tariffs because fuck them, because they already pissed us off. Like, there's going to be still some feel from those decisions even not being implemented, but being, like, bandied about like it's fucking, you know, the fish market on a Wednesday afternoon, which is how his view of economics is. But, yeah.
I do think USAID is a big concession of soft power around the world. I think that's going to be something.
Yeah, look.
And it's just funny to me that they didn't cut off aid from Israel, but like everybody else gets the axe.
They didn't. Of course they didn't, dude. Of course they didn't.
That's so funny to me.
Yeah, and negotiating with Russia without Europe at the table. Zelensky was like, "Are you? Fuck you. Which good."
Without Ukraine at the table, dude. Like, what are you doing?
That's pure blatant. Like, it's so awful, man. It's so awful. So.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing. Yeah.
Well, just it sucks.
Sorry,
because, like when I don't even want to say when, because who knows? He made it through 4 years, and the economy still made it through. Like, if the economy gets bad, like, it sucks because that's the only time you'll get woken up from this like vibes era. But real people will get like dude, like everyone's gonna feel somebody. Like, you'll know someone who got laid off or this or that, or my small business friend, no more work. It's like, yeah.
Or people getting booted off of Medicare. People stop getting. We'll see how that actually manifests. I don't know that they actually have the
Medicaid for
stones.
Sure. Medicare and Social Security, we'll see. They're gonna try.
You think they'll actually take an axe to Medicaid? Snap?
They're gonna try to. I think Republicans already released like their little thingy, and it cut like fucking billions from Snap. Yeah, Snap.
Snap and Medicaid, I think. Yeah.
And it's.
Yeah, we'll see. I do think it will get bad for a lot of people, and I think it. The thing that just frustrates me the most is that the Democrats need to take advantage of this moment, and I just don't trust them.
But what does that even mean, bro? What does that even mean? Like,
that means putting people into power that aren't fucking 93 years old, right? Like,
sure, I agree with that. Sure. The whole AOC thing over some committee, like, that was dumb. She should have
over a bunch of committees. Just fucking ancient person after ancient person. They haven't changed their messaging. They still lean more on cultural issues to win their fucking elections than like actually doing something for working people. Like, listen, again, we can talk about, Biden did some great things all day long.
He sure did.
But what tangible effect did he have in the average American worker's day to day? Very little to none.
Some farmer the other week
said
because of the Inflation Reduction Act funding freeze, he might lose his farm. So the Inflation Reduction Act was going to give him money for like upgrades.
Right, but that's not the average.
No, I agree. I'm being a complete cock to you, but I wanted to do it. So, anyways, yeah.
It's why they lost in 24 to like the most beatable presidential candidate ever.
It's because
you don't have any moment of self-reflection. There's no change of leadership.
Because it's not. No, I agree. Because it's not about what you even do, though. Like, Biden could have fucking done absolutely nothing, and then they still would have almost had the same amount of votes. Kamala would.
I disagree. Biden could have. He could have flexed his muscle more. He for sure could have.
Doing what? Doing what, dude?
He used some odd quirk of executive power to try and forgive student loan debt when he just directly could have gone through the Department of Education to forgive student loan debt.
Okay, if that's true, then he shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done it.
But because they have hangups. The Democratic Party is beholden to a lot of big corporate money. I mean, we just have to be honest about that fact.
Sure.
So until they can get out from under that and actually primarily represent their constituents, I just don't see how. Like, they're basically Republican light. That is the game that they're playing. They're like, well, those guys are crazy. But if, like, we're sort of moderate, you can vote for us.
That's fine. You're
appealing to the wrong crowd.
That's fine. I don't even disagree with you. We could debate some points, whatever. I just, whenever we talk about this, why don't we vote better then? I'm always voting, like, whatever, dude.
Sure, I agree.
Where I live, Kathy Hochul, dude, sucks, bro. Dude, generally, I'm left of Democrats. Hello? But I don't think the same way necessarily as you do, because, like, people just gotta vote better, man. Like, you could easily unwind it by voting. Like, it's not like we live in Russia and... All right, go ahead.
I agree, but we also need to people need to be given something to vote for. Right? Like, Bernie was the biggest amount of enthusiasm the Democratic
and also
side of things has had in fucking ages.
And also,
But Obama, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
'08 was pretty fucking exciting for Democrats, but he ended up being run of the mill anyway.
I also look, and I don't get me wrong. I don't excuse. Like, politicians are still scummy for the most part because they don't like in a vacuum, in an ethical vacuum, your idea of a representative truly pulls their people, and yes, brings their own ideas to the table, and at the end of the day, that'll have the most because they are them and they're the representative. But like, they're listening and they're changing, they're deputy. They don't do any of that shit. So this is where I'm kind of agreeing with you. Like, I get that side of it. It's like, dude, they're scum. They're scum. They need to be way better. It seems to be that when people are younger, they do see a bigger picture a little better.
Yeah.
That's more representative. Nobody's perfect. But holy
Right.
shit, these old people stink. It's wild to me that everybody thought Biden was on strings and Bernie's 2 years older than him. Let that sink in. Donald Trump's about to be 80. Is he already 80? I think he is. Wild to me that everybody thought Biden was on strings and he's like the same fucking age as Trump. Yes, bro. Yes.
No, he's 78, bro.
The man's
78.
Is he? Whatever, dude. He's old as shit. 1 year.
He is old as fuck.
I don't give a goddamn. He's old. Like,
1.5 years. Yeah, sure.
It's down is up, left is right. Nothing makes sense until the economy crashes.
I think.
And I almost feel like there was some sort of poem that can come out of that. I'm gonna write that down and I'll write some poems for you.
Dr. Seuss, left is right, up is down.
Whatever.
Yeah, I do think nothing changes in this country until millennials fully exert their voting power. And until people fucking show up in your primaries, people, please, for the love of God.
Do, baby.
It is literally, to me, more important than the actual fucking election. Show up in your primaries. God bless.
Sure do. And always remember, the right way to be is to be socially liberal, economically communist. Okay.
Okay. And always remember, be good, do good, God bless, go Bills.
But did he have to put the God in there? Josh. Oh.
Whoa, you put a go Bills in there, I'm buying whatever you're selling. I'm buying whatever you sell.
That was a no problem. Like, it was, I didn't even watch the speech, but
yeah, it was pretty good.
To me, but that was
pretty good.
That's a not in your face rap. Like, dude, some of these athletes are just like.
He did open
First
up
and
with.
foremost, I just want to say that every time I move a muscle, God has pulled that muscle, and praise Him. And because I just want to tell you that if I didn't have the Lord, if I didn't have the Lord, I wouldn't be here. It's so fucking annoying, man.
I will say, as great as that impression was, Josh Allen did open his speech giving first and foremost glory to God. He did do that.
Which, listen.
Well, there you go. I don't have a problem with it. You clearly do.
The words,
you're communist.
I do. First of all, that's true. Second of all, I do. There is a discussion over the words. Is it semantics of the words? I'm an idiot. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
But there is
that's correct.
Like, if an athlete's like, "Hey, glory to God," like, I'm just blessed and thankful. You keep it in that realm, it's fine. It's when they're just like, I could not do this. There is no way that this could have been accomplished. No universe that this mountain could have been climbed without the Almighty. And I'm just like, okay. Sometimes it's a little extra.
I agree under the idea that you're allowed to give yourself some credit, dog. I do agree with that.
That's my thing. That's always my thing. Because every time something's happening on the TiVo, my 3 spouses, they know how I feel about this stuff, so they all look at me, and they're like, oh, what do you think? And I'm always just like, look, because they always think I'm gonna be like, oh, fuck them, fuck God. No, dude. We truly believe this is a safe space of freedom and happiness. Whatever makes you happy, even if you disagree with me, I don't give a fuck. That's fine. You do you.
Do you, baby. Absolutely.
Why can't we sprinkle a little bit of but I worked my ass off too. Let's go, baby. You feel me? I don't. It just doesn't feel like that's there. They're allowed.
Well, because I worked my ass off.
Anyways. Yeah.
In the name of the Lord. Come on now.
I'll tell you what. I pray. I can't remember what this was. A few years ago, I prayed every night for weeks, hoping the Lord would just wake me up at 4:30 a.m. let me tell you, not one time did it happen. So I was just like, this is not gonna work. Everybody tells me I just gotta pray, and this shit just snaps and it happens. It doesn't. So I tried it. Maybe I'll try it again.
Wow.
Maybe you could tell me how it works for you. But
I've been praying every night since 9/11 for God to undo 9/11. So
and
clearly, I'm not being listened to
I
either.
just think that these things don't work. You know.
That's the only evidence I need.
I guess I've never tried to think about how I could enhance the prayer.
Sure.
There's no like side of a TV that you can slap. I still have an antenna on my TV, so sometimes ABC is a little wonky, and you have to like, the antennas.
Give it a little crack.
There you go.
Yeah, and thank the Lord when it comes into focus.
Sure.
Wow, what a sign off! This is
one of my favorites is when I turn to one of my 3 spouses, and I'm like,
God bless
because
them.
Obviously there's a conversation that precedes them. First of all, God bless them is so true. There's obviously a conversation that precedes this, but one of my favorites is always when I'm just like, and I just wish God would strike me down right here, right now. All right, that's enough.